Tide Talk Web is back. Well, it is game day, folks. Got ULM today, and they're a very dismal team. I think we'll easily win that game. Nothing too much to worry about there. The strategy going forward, I think, is you got to improve. You got to improve on defense. You got to improve on offense. You got to have leaders come out. You've got to have those guys. Those guys that take charge, that lead the team. The team follows ultimately, to go into Wisconsin, and that's kind of what this is a building up of that. This week won't show us anything truly groundbreaking, whether we win, and we most likely will win. But we got to have it going into going into Wisconsin, because Wisconsin is not a bad team, pretty good team. They're pretty well-rounded. Now, ULM does not have as good a quarterback as they had last year. They are a pretty run-heavy approach. Now, last year's stats, they did have a 93% success rate inside the red zone. So that's something obviously we'll have to watch. Their defense is pretty aggressive. They run more of a 3-4, 4-3 type hybrid defense. And I don't think they're really going to stop Alabama. I think we could all be hungover, go out there, drink a few beers, and still win that game. But after that, all bets are off at this point. The lack of leadership, some of the issues we're still having, a year later on the offensive line, penalties, it's going to go into the rest of the season. I think, and I hate to say this, my analysis, and I hope I'm wrong. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong and apologize. We're going to lose 5 games, potentially 6. Georgia's probably going to beat our brains in. I'm just going to be honest. I've heard everything from, we got to fire him now. Well, why? He was a pretty good defensive coordinator last year. Give him a year to figure it out. If we're still sitting here and having this conversation at the end of the year, then yeah, he's got to go. If there's no marked improvement, yeah, you're right. And I'm with you, yes. Now, was Florida State abysmal? Yes, but you can't grade them off one game. Now, the overall record, when this has been talked ad nauseum, the last 10 games is 5-5, and away games is 2-4, or 4-2. Well, we won 2 out of 4. Anyway, we have to give them a full year, because you can't fire somebody mid-year. Then nobody's going to want to come. Then nobody trusts you. Give him a second year. Now finish this year out. If he's still just as abysmal at the end of the year, you got to fire him. Now I've heard a bunch of idiots talk about we need to fire Deboer. No, we don't. Like, that's ridiculous. Bryant's second year was a failure, was a loss, was horrible. He didn't even go 500 from what I know. So why would we do that? Even Saban's first year wasn't good. He's been good everywhere he's been. Now, he may have to figure some stuff out, like maybe don't bring ice cream trucks to practice. Maybe, don't worry about people's podcasts and painting fingernails and teddy bears. Let's get back to winning football and smacking people in the head and have that dominant attitude again. But he deserves 4 years. I don't care what you say. Now, if we're still sitting here in December of 2028, yes, fire him. But you fire him now, like all these idiots are saying, nobody's going to want to coach for you. Nobody decent, because they know that you'll have a knee-jerk reaction to everything. Give the guy his time. Let him build his guys. If you're that worried about it, don't fire him. That's going to cost you $110 million. Don't do that. Just give the University of Alabama $60 million, and they can just go buy a team in the portal, if that's what you're really worried about. Now, I suggest finish the year out, take our lumps. If we're still sitting here in December, fire the defensive coordinator, fire the O-line coach, and probably fire the defensive line coach, because I've seen nothing out of that defensive line in 2 years. But that to say this, give it to the end of the year. And if Deboer needs to fire Kane Womack, he's not going to go down with the ship with Womack. If he's got to get rid of him and get somebody else, he'll do it. And that's fine. We know this has been coming for a lot of years. When you've been as good as we've been and had the historic run we've had for almost 20 years, it's bound to happen. Now, yes, let's try to recorrect and get better and do those things. But just firing somebody knee-jerk is not the answer. It's horrible. It sets a bad precedent, and you'll be like Auburn. That's a fact. They started doing stuff like that. And no, we can do better than that. Give him time through 2028. See what he does at the end of the year. More than likely, if it's looking at 6 losses and abysmal, He'll get a new defensive coordinator, probably no line coach and a defensive line coach, and that's fine. And we'll go through that process because you have to do that process in order to, when you hire a new defensive coordinator, he's got to know he's got 2 or 3 years. He's got some time. Because if you just fire him mid-year, nobody that's worth a damn is going to want to come because they won't trust you. Or they'll have some crazy buyout or some crazy clause. No. Give the person time, you know. Don't be like, you know, a lot of these young folks that want gratification right now. Like, yes, I know last week was disappointing. I know it was heart-wrenching. I know it sucked. But that's what you have to do. Going into this game, Jeremiah Beeman is out. Tim Keenan could be back against Wisconsin. We don't know yet. We'll have to just see. You know, I just want to tell all the Bama fan base that, you know, we be prepared. This is not going to be a good year. It best will be 9-4. At worst, we'll probably be 6-6. We're probably going to lose 6 games. More than likely 5, but potentially 6. You know, if we can't get this ship righted, if some things don't happen, if some conversations don't happen, if you don't see guys step up and really take charge, if you don't see severe consequences for, you know, not hustling on a play, not making tackles, not giving effort, you know, getting blown up on blocks like, you know, Deontay Lawson. You definitely need to see some of that for this to change. I don't think you can change it in 1 year. You know, so we'll have to just see how that process goes. But going forward, today is a big step. Today is, let's win the game. Let's not give up any points. Let's set a precedence and then keep going for that. You got to get back on the horse. You know, after every time you fall, you got to get back up. You fall down 10 times, get up 11. So see that going forward. That's what's going to have to happen. I think also in recruiting, we're going to have to make a bigger effort not to let some of our best defensive playmakers go to Oregon or go to Texas, wherever. We got to keep them in the state of Alabama. Now, with that being said, I think some of the focus on recruiting, stop recruiting as many West Coast guys. We need Southeastern Conference killers, period. You need to get that mentality back, that brotherhood back of, you know, of that attitude because, you know, if you get a bunch of West Coast guys, you know, they can play football too. It's just different in the South. It's a different beast. It's a different nature. These kids grew up different. You need that leadership. Now, don't get me wrong. We need some of those guys from the West Coast. You need some of the Midwestern guys and Northeastern guys. But the bulk, you need to be Southeastern Conference guys. And let me just say this. Mike McCoy said it best, and I'm going to quote him. He said this. You can look this up. He said, at every 5 guys, you need three church boys and 2 thugs. Those 2 thugs need to be able to come off the porch and slap your mama and look you in the eyes and see what you're going to do about it. You got to have that to have a winning team. So that's probably what we need to worry about and get back into. Now let's go support the team. Let's support Deboer and just buckle up. It's not going to be a pleasant season. I can tell you that now. You know, now we get to right the ship tonight a little bit to get back to a standard, to get back, set a precedence. But that's going to have to follow into Wisconsin. That's going to have to follow into Georgia. These things can't be just, well, we won ULM, woo! No. You know, it's going to have to be something week to week, day to day, month to month. You know, why do you think people like Saban or Kirby Smart harped on guys for, why's your shirt untucked? Tuck your shirt in. Get to practice on time. Get to study hall on time. Because if you do the little things right, everything else will be added to it. Everything else will come out in the wash. And I think that's where we're at. Anyway, I'll do a little analysis of the game after the game tonight. I don't even know if I have the game because I'm stationed in Montana right now, so I probably don't. But we'll go over the game a little bit and maybe do a little preview over Wisconsin. But anyway, Tide Talk Web is out. Y'all have a great day. Roll Tide.